This is Ferrari's Classiche department. It's where the world's most valuable cars come when they need a spot of R&R. Showing me round today is the boss, Andrea Modena.
What are we doing here is basically preserve our heritage, our story, and keep alive not just the memory, but the legacy that a great man, our founder, left us. The very first seed, if you want, was 2004. Was an idea of Jean Todt. We have to admit that he perfectly understands how much our history, our values were eradicated in our cars, in all the production that we did. And so he started this activity that then became official with a specific department in 2006.
Okay, cool. And what we're looking at, so you deal with everything. Once it's 20 years old, is that right? It becomes a Classiche car.
After 20 years, according to our records, we can speak about a Ferrari Classic car, and we try really to preserve every single one produced from the 12 March 47 till today is the 5th December 2023, so the 4th December 2003. Sometimes it's quite often confused the idea of original with the authenticity. We work for the authenticity. If you mind, we are looking at an F40. An F40 for sure in his life has at least replaced the tires, the filter. So in the end, it's not the original one that left the. But if tires were the right one, if filters was the right one, the car is authentic as it was when left the factory.
But what about some of the, so the cars have all the cars have stories.
Yes.
So this one, for instance, has got a tiny little crack in the paintwork and in the Kevlar there.
It has been used.
It has been used, which is brilliant.
It is part of the story.
But is it up to the owner, the custodian? Do you call them owners here, or custodians, or collectors?
People that keeps this amazing jewel for a time, and then maybe they transfer to their son or someone else that would like to keep the legacy in the future. As you were saying, it's left to his idea whether to preserve the body as it is, whether to go for a body restoration in case.
But you can guide them if you think.
Of course, yes.
It would help.
Especially when related to safety stuff. Safety stuff, we cannot miss any of them, and we need to go through every single details in case of safety.
We have a walk around. Andrea starts by showing me a 335 Mille. We look at the rain gutter detailing on a 212 Inter, and discuss a 250 that's returned to have its more modern disc brakes returned to the factory original drums.
The car left the factory in drum disc, and along its history as Ferrari we were not putting brake disc on this specific one, not on the model in general, and so the owner would like to have the car back and on the condition it was sold. So we are going back.
And of course you have all the paperwork and everything going back.
Yes, thanks thanks to the archive, thanks to the information we are having, we can exactly go back as a time machine that day, that model.
So you know the days they were put together, the days they were built, and everything that went into it.
Yes.
Wow. Was that just because Enzo was particularly fastidious about how he kept records, or just very demanding?
Nice choice, fastidious. I think it was very committed in having every single information.
But then something catches my eye. A magnificently scruffy 512 BB.
The new owner, the new collector, is just asking us to take care of
so
this car.
What will you do with that? I mean, is it up to you and him going to have a discussion?
We will have him here next week.
Okay.
The car arrived a couple of days ago. He will be here next week in order to discuss exactly together the next
what
step.
You do with it.
For sure, he's asking to go for a mechanical restoration because he would like to keep the car racing.
Brilliant.
So we don't know yet regarding the body what are his intention. For sure,
that looks like it's lived a life.
And it has been let's say preserved in this condition for a very long time.
When I came down here, was that you could still see the wood through here, where the sort of capping is missing off the end of the wing.
Really, the car has been stuck and as it was, so yeah. I don't know really. I have no idea of which kind of restoration you would like to go on.
But you have all the notes on this car.
Everything.
We meet a 1957 500 TRC Barchetta that won its class at the Mille Miglia 4 times. And then we come to my personal favourite. And what's the story here? This has got a story, I can tell.
It's a nice one. It's a nice one. This car was originally belonging to the famous movie maker Rossellini.
Okay.
And the car was bought to go from Rome to Oslo.
Rome to Oslo?
Yes, with his wife, which was Ingrid Bergman. At the moment they have to collect the Nobel Prize. And so
they drove this from Rome to Oslo to collect the Nobel Prize?
Exactly.
Oh my word.
The car was fully packed of luggage, and there was a nice exchange between Rossellini and our founder, because Rossellini was not complaining but explaining our founder that Ingrid Bergman was having such a huge amount of luggages that he has to pack all the cars with his luggage. So that's really.
So this was a relatively practical.
A nice one. The car is again has been restored. We did. Recently we did some activities on the engine and on the mechanics, on the front mechanics.
Hang on, is that a roof rack?
That's the discussion they had between between Rossellini and Enzo, because the movie
too much luggage and it had to go on the roof.
Exactly, and he was asking the permission to install.
He had to ask Enzo permission
and
to put the
he
roof
received the permission. Well, so that's the reason why I was telling car packed with luggage.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Wow, and is that the original?
The original one. The original one. Not only the rack, but also the luggage.
Oh, that's the luggage?
Original one. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
This is the heart and soul, isn't it? Of what you do?
Sure. But again, we were back to the original specification, to the idea of our founder. Engine, gearbox, that's the core, the soul of
so engine maintenance happens in this
engine
area.
Maintenance, overhauling, analysis.
We look over an original Colombo V12 and a Boxer 12 from a Testarossa. So those are the components that come out of the car. Do the owners? So they must have some value. So do the owners want them back?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm not so happy to see so many boxes here around, but they contain parts that were in the car, and after restoration, they are returned.
They return to the owners
because they want to keep it.
Because I suppose it's part of the story of the car for them is they've got. Here's what's come out of it and gone into it. I love seeing all these notices written on the end. So like 250 GTO written here and things. So these bits of cars and
the process basically works in this way. We receive cars as that 512 we were looking at. We share with the owner which kind of activities he would like to be performed, and then starting from that point, we go for a first disassembling on the car. And analysis of each single pieces. Literally one by one.
So everything's taken. So a car comes into one of these bays.
Exactly.
And then
it's completely disassembled. The parts are placed on this trolley and on these racks and analyzed one by one. Then parts are first of all identified as we can overhaul, cannot be reused. Can be used as it is. So these are the three.
Okay. And what about things like, do you sometimes owners come in and goes, I want that completely new, done over and everything else, and you just think, oh, you're going to lose something to the essence of the sort of wear and tear on the car and the history of it?
We have. I have to admit that it was more common in the past. A few years ago, there were much more that I use the word temptation to over restore. Okay, so especially some some collectors were keen to have chrome everywhere, chrome that was not really consistent with the story.
But the real joy here isn't the cars, but what lies in this glass-walled room just to the side. This is Ferrari's archive. All the paperwork since the company was founded, from production details for every car to F1 race reports, and from original design drawings to handwritten notes.
That's fabulous.
Again, as we were saying from the beginning, the how can I say, the direction, the ideas, the guidance was literally coming from our founder and what he was asking to his competition team, to the Scuderia Ferrari, so to the team. So we still have all the competition report book. So
1956. So that's 1956. So this, because he didn't travel to races, did he?
No, that's the point. His life was between Modena, where he was living, Maranello, where there was the factory, a bit farther on the hill, Serramazzoni, where they were testing the car. That was his life. At the same time, he was really interested in knowing everything that was happening wherever in the world they were racing. And so he was really asking meticulously to the engineer to report everything. When I mean everything, it's everything. Description on the car, weather condition, but also driver mood.
And it's the same for the cars, these fabulous ledgers.
Lucas stays in the followers. He has been well raced, trying on the last part of the race to gain for the third position, but Bera has been better than him. So you have the description.
So that's the driver description. Then you've got a car description.
Car description. So
the revs it was going to.
Yes, how much water temperature,
temperatures.
oil temperature, everything.
The archive eventually moved to microfilm, and after the 80,000th car, it went digital in the late 80s. And if you're wondering why they have the original stamps around the sides, that allows the technicians to check that the marks on the engines match the stamps that would have been used.
What's this drawing here? You've got a drawing of a rear wing.
This book is a book related to 1968. Okay. So every single book was originally handwritten and then
typed up
later
properly.
on in the factory. So we have the very first analysis conducted by Forghieri on introducing aerodynamics on an F1. So we are speaking about F1 606B chassis 0007, modification performed on the 16 May 68. The car has been back from the Spain GP on the same day. They disassembled everything and Forghieri start to mind how to fix a rear wing to increase the downforce.
Wow.
So this is the first design of the first idea of a rear wing, how to fix it, where to fix versus the roll bar. As you can see,
mounting it on the engine.
So
this was an engineer's ledger. This was Forghieri's ledger for work he was going to do to the cars and things.
Exactly.
And he had to document it because he knew the boss would
would have asked. Exactly.
See what I mean? There's nowhere quite like this.
So you have got this is Ferrari in here, isn't it? Ferrari's not just out there. Ferrari.
This is the reason why we are able to do what we are able to do. Without this one, this would be a great workshop with incredible skill from people. Without this, we should not have been able to do what we are doing.
After we stopped rolling, Andrea came up with an absolute zinger. He said that last year one of the other departments had got in touch and said, look, we found these old boxes in the corner of a dusty storeroom, and did he want to have a look through them? And if not, they were going to be thrown away. And he thought, well, yeah, I mean, it gets a lot of this, but it's always worth having a look. And it turns out that in those boxes were the original drawings for the Colombo V12, probably the most famous engine there's ever been. You come here to this incredible place and learn that far from knowing everything already, Ferrari is still discovering its own history.